Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi How's it go? Jana Raja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Ashtottara Shatashi Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Ashtottara Shatashi Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Shri Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Oh yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I need that though. Okay. So today, as promised yesterday, we will read about Vasant Panchami, Saraswati Puja, Srila Visvanatha Cakravarti Thakura, and Srimati Vishnupriya Devi. Yeah. Yeah. So first we'll read a little bit about Srila Visvanatha Cakravarti Thakura. Okay. Srila Visvanatha Cakravarti Thakura. Okay. Appearing in 1638, Sri Viswanath Cakravarti Thakura, Hari Vallabha Das, came in the disciplic succession from Sri Narottam Das Thakur. Vishwanath took Diksha from Sri Radha Ramana Chakravarti. Although married, Vishwanath was indifferent and soon renounced family life. He came to Vrindavan Dham and did Krishna Bhajan at Radha Kund. He was known as the crest jewel of the Vaishnavas because of his pure devotion, scholarship, and realized perception of Radha Gokulananda's intimate conjugal pastimes. Gaudiya, that's a full stop there. He was known as the crest jewel of the Vaishnavas because of his pure devotion, scholarship, and realized perception of Radha Gokulananda's intimate conjugal pastimes. Gaudiya authorities say that Sri Rupa Goswami is Vagdev Avatar, an incarnation of the god of speech. And Gaudiya Acharyas, especially among his direct disciples, believe that Sri Vishwanath Cakravarti Thakura is an incarnation of Sri Rupa Goswami. Among all Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas, only Vishwanath Cakravarti comes close to matching Srila Rupa Goswami's profound realizations on the absolute truth. Vishwanath Cakravarti's name itself implies his position. Vishwanath means he who reveals the jewel of devotion to Vishwanath, Sri Krishna, the Lord of the universe. Chakravarti means he who expands the chakra of Bhakti. Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said Vishwanath Cakravarti Thakur was the protector, guardian, and acharya during the middle period, 1600 to 1700, of the historical development of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. The growth of Gaudiya Vaishnavism began with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It was later rejuvenated by Srila Thakur Bhakti Vinod and spread by Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati and broadcast all over the world by Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON. During his stay in Vrindavan, Vishwanath worshipped deities of Radha Gokulananda and Sri Giriraj. His Govardhan Shila was first worshipped by Lord Chaitanya, then Raghunath Das Goswami, Krishnadas Kaviraj, Sri Mukunda Das, Srimati Vishnupriya Thakurani, and Vishwanath Cakravarti Thakura. Today, his Giriraj Govardhan deity resides in the Radha Gokulananda temple in Vrindavan. Some claim the Govardhan Shila is in Bhagavat Nivas in Raman Reti, near the ISKCON Krishna Balaram Mandir. In a dream, Lord Krishna ordered Vishwanath to make commentaries on the Goswami's books. Immediately, he started writing prolifically. Clouds would shield him from the sun wherever he sat to write. Once, a torrential downpour flooded the area where Vishwanath was writing his Bhagavat commentaries. Miraculously, not a drop touched Vishwanath or his Bhagavat manuscript. While compiling Mantrartha Deepika, explanation on Kama Gayatri, Vishwanath became perplexed. According to his exhaustive research, which indicated 25, he could not substantiate why Krishnadas Kaviraj wrote in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Kama Gayatri contains 24 and 1/2 syllables, and that these syllables correspond to the 24 and 1/2 moons present on Krishna's transcendental body. In a dream, Srimati Radhika instructed Vishwanath, "O Vishwanath, please don't lament anymore. What Krishnadas Kaviraj wrote is true. He is also my confidential maidservant, and he knows everything about my most secret innermost moods. This Kama Gayatri is the mantra for worshipping me. Indeed, I can be known by the syllables of this mantra. Without my mercy, no one can learn anything about the mystery of this mantra. The solution to the half syllable is found in the book Varnagama Pashvadi. According to seeing this book, Krishnadas Kaviraj wrote as he did. The letter Ya, which is followed by the letter V, as in the words Kamadevaya Vidmahe, is considered to be a half syllable. This falls on Krishna's forehead because his forehead is shaped like the halo of a half moon. All the other letters of the mantra are full syllables and therefore full moons. Now wake up, check that book, and compile this evidence for everyone's benefit." Instantly awaking, Vishwanath cried out in ecstasy, Hey Radhe, Hey Radhe, Hey Radhe. Having Radharani's darshan infused Vishwanath Chakravarti's writing with divine Shakti. He felt that he had been accepted as one of Srimati Radharani's confidential maidservants. His writings reflected this realization. Vishwanath Cakravarti Thakura wrote over 40 Sanskrit books on the science of pure devotion to Radha Giridhari. He also made the sweetest, most realized Rasika Tikas, commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, the works of Srila Rupa Goswami, Kavi Karnapur, and Narottam Das Thakur. Sri Krishna Bhavanamrita, Madhurya Kadambini, Vrajariti Chintamani, Chamatkar Chandrika, Swapna Vilasamrita, Sankalpa Kalpa Druma, and others. The life and teachings of Srila Visvanatha Cakravarti Pad give happiness, inspiration, and transcendental wisdom to the entire Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. We sincerely pray that after thousands of births we will someday qualify to become a particle of dust under the shade of his lotus feet. Srila Visvanatha Cakravarti Pad Ki Jai. In Krishna Lila, he serves Srimati Radhika as Vinod Manjari. His samadhi is in the Radha Gokulananda temple courtyard. And just for your enlivenment, there's a picture of it here. I guess we can pass it around. It's on page 53. It's the bottom one here in the corner, just for fun. You can see it. Okay. One, I'll expand on this a little bit because there's a couple things that this biography doesn't mention that are nice and also indicative of Vishwanath Cakravarti Thakur's exalted position as a Vaishnava and the pivotal role that he played in the history of our Sampradaya. After the Goswamis left, specifically after Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatana Goswami left, Jiva Goswami was in Vrindavan. He was still writing. He was still doing his preaching. And it came to his attention that this Parakya Ras, or this rasa between Radha and Krishna and the gopis and Krishna, that this love between unmarried men and women, this is called Parikya Ras. It became the subject of some criticism from certain pundits in Vrindavan who didn't believe it. One, they didn't believe it, and then they criticized it. So certain people were criticizing Krishna, basically, for this. And so they were saying that, anyway, it was unchaste, and that it was not befitting the Supreme Personality of Godhead, etc. So Jiva Goswami, in response to this, he narrated this pastime for the benefit of those people so that they could stay within the fold of Krishna consciousness. This pastime of Srimati Radharani leaving Abhimanyu, basically, and marrying Krishna. It's kind of like a happily ever after thing, that they got married. It actually didn't happen, but for the benefit of those people so that they didn't become offensive, or you could say didn't remain offensive, Jiva Goswami narrated this pastime. So then there became two camps within the Gaudiya Sampradaya, that there is this Swakyavad, Swakya Rasa, which is the rasa between a married couple, and this Parikya Rasa, which is the rasa between unmarried men and women. And so this, around when Srila Visvanatha Cakravarti Thakura was doing his bhajan in Vrindavan, this discussion came to a head. And it was a very heated discussion. One side felt very strongly about their position. The other side felt very strongly about their position. Vishwanath Cakravarti Thakura, using the evidence from the books of the Goswamis and from other shastras, etc., he so you could say, intensely defeated this Svakyavad, that the Svakyavadis were he just smashed them, he smashed them so hard that they actually decided to kill Visvanatha Cakravarti Thakura. And so Vishwanath Chakravarti, he had a routine that he would go on parikrama every morning, or at least he would go on parikrama, and so it was easy, to follow him. So these pundits, they went and they were following him with the plan to kill him, and of course staying at a distance so that they didn't see him. And then the idea was that, okay, when he's in a secluded place, then they would kill him. So they were following him for some time, and eventually he kind of went into this little grove, this little forest, and he turned a corner, this thing and that thing, and they lost sight of him. They couldn't find him. And so they were looking all over this area, but there was nobody there, except at one point they saw this girl who was there. She was picking flowers. And so they went up to this girl, and they said, there was a great devotee who walked by here. Have you seen him? And she said, no, I haven't seen him. Sorry. And so they said, okay. But as they spoke to her, they realized she was like the most beautiful girl they had ever seen. Like, she was just absolutely beautiful. And they became somewhat bewildered, actually, by her beauty. And so they asked her, they said, who are you? Where did you come from? Why? Because it was in a rather secluded part of Vrindavan, where people don't usually go. So they asked this girl, they asked, who are you? Where are you from? Why are you here? It's kind of strange that you're out here just picking flowers by yourself. And she said, well, I'm nobody important, but I'm a maidservant of Srimati Radharani, and she's in her village of Yavat, and she sent me here to pick flowers. And they said, okay. They were thinking she was just she was a devotee, and then they said, okay. And then they walked off, and they kept looking. But as they were walking away, they looked back, and that girl wasn't there anymore. She had disappeared. And in her place was Srila Visvanatha Cakravarti Thakura. And so then they understood that actually this was that was him, that he had manifested his Swarup as Vinod Manjari, and that actually he was a very exalted Vaishnava. And then at that point they offered their obeisances, and they begged forgiveness, and they surrendered to him. So this gives an indication of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura's very extremely exalted nature, and he practically single-handedly, you could say, resolved that discussion between the Svakyavadis and the Prakyavadis. So, Srila Visvanatha Cakravarti Thakura ki jai. And I'm not sure if Vishnupriya Devi is in here. She is? Okay. Oh yeah, okay. Oh, she's right before Visvanatha Cakravarti Thakura. Okay. Srimati Vishnupriya Devi. The Supreme Lord has three different internal Shaktis, potencies. Shri, Bhu, and Nila. Bhu Shakti appeared as Srimati Vishnupriya Devi in Gaura Lila to assist Sri Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. King Kshatrajit, the father of Satyabhama in Krishna Lila, appeared in Gauranga Lila as the Brahmana Sanatana Mishra, Vishnupriya Devi's father. Srimati Vishnupriya Devi overflowed with all good qualities. Her beauty surpassed the goddess of fortune. She was devoted to her parents and dutifully followed scriptural injunctions. Regularly she worshipped Tulsi Devi and observed vows of austerity such as bathing thrice daily in the Ganga. Whenever she met Shachimata at the Ganga, Vishnupriya would humbly bow down at her feet. Shachi Devi often thought that chaste, beautiful Vishnupriya would make an ideal bride for her son Nimai. After Lakshmipriya Devi, Lord Chaitanya's first wife, died in separation from the Lord, Nimai Pandit married Srimati Vishnupriya Devi. Chaitanya Mangala and Chaitanya Bhagavat give elaborate descriptions of this most auspicious wedding. Buddhimanta Khan, a rich landowner, bore all the expenses of the opulent royal wedding of the divine couple, Vishnupriya and Sri Nimai Pandit. All the people of Navadvip and the neighboring villages came to the wedding. During the ceremony, all eyes were on the divine couple as if to devour the matchless beauty of Vishnupriya and Nimai Pandit. The Vaishnavas sang Hari's glories. The Brahmanas made a circle around the Lord and chanted the Vedas. A sea of joy flooded the four directions. Those who didn't drown simply floated in bliss. Besides the wedding, Vrindavan Das Thakur doesn't elaborate about Vishnupriya's pastimes. In Chaitanya Mangala, Lochan Das Thakur tells the pastimes not mentioned anywhere else. He narrates the especially touching last conversation Lord Gauranga had with Vishnupriya in the night before he took sannyas. In a voice choked with emotion, Vishnupriya said, "Tell me, O Prananatha, Lord of my life, is it true the rumor I heard that you will take sannyas and leave me? If I lose your association, I might as well end my life by drinking poison." Responding with gentle, compassionate words, Sri Gora Rai said, "Vishnupriya, you are as dear to me as life itself. There is no need to worry. Please hear what I am about to say, for it will help you. The only truth is Bhagavan and the Vaishnavas. Everything else is illusion. Fathers, mothers, children, relationships between men and women are all illusory. Krishna is the master, the real husband of everyone. Don't lament, don't worry. Your name is Vishnupriya. Therefore, fulfill the real meaning of Vishnupriya and always think of Krishna within your heart." Then Sri Gaura Sundar showed his four-armed form, which helped Vishnupriya understand his absolute position. Seeing this vanquished Vishnupriya's grief and pain. She felt blissful. This vision and Mahaprabhu's instruction removed her bewilderment. But she kept the mentality of taking the Lord as her husband. Sobbing and falling at Lord Chaitanya's feet, she said, "I beg you to accept my humble submission. You are the most dear Lord of my life, my only wealth. Without you, without your service, I have nothing." Lord Gauranga embraced Vishnupriya with his eyes. He gave her mercy with these words, "I shall travel here and there, but wherever I go, I shall always remain at your place." Understanding the supremely independent nature of Lord Gaura, Vishnupriya said, "You must do what makes you happy, my Lord. Let no one be an obstacle to your divine mission." After Sri Nimai Pandit left Navadvip, Vishnupriya adopted an austere and devoted life. She became as thin as the crescent moon before Amavasya. Following a rigid sadhana, she set aside 1 grain of rice for every round of Hare Krishna japa she chanted. In the evening, Vishnupriya Devi cooked these grains, offered them to her personal deity of Mahaprabhu, and honored the remnants. Known today as Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, Vishnupriya's gorgeous deity of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu resides in Navadvip city. Sriman Mahaprabhu regularly receives worship and gives unlimited mercy. Srimati Vishnupriya Devi ki jai. So I'll expand a little bit on this too because there is some other details. Vishnupriya Devi, when she married Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, she was only like 8 or 9. She was very young. And when he left, well, she was 8 or 9, and then when she moved in with him, the custom is that in Vedic culture, women are married very young, and then they don't live with the husband until they're of age, and then they live with the husband, and like that. So they were married when she was about 8 or 9, and he was, I think, like 17 or 18. And she moved in with him when she was about 12 or 13. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left when she was like 14. So it's described that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was living with her, I mean, the whole time that they were married, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu practically barely spoke to her, actually. And when he went to Gaya to offer Pinda to his father, Jagannath Mishra, who had left his who had passed away. Then he came back, and while he was there in Gaya, he took Harinam from Srila Ishvarapuri, his spiritual master, and then he came back, and it's described that he experienced a complete change of personality. This is when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began manifesting his ecstatic symptoms. And so one day, just after he returned from Gaya, Srimati Vishnupriya Devi was going to take bath in the Ganga, as she did thrice daily. And as she was walking, she stubbed her toe on a rock. It was very bad. She was bleeding a lot, and it hurt a lot. And then, so she was bleeding like this. She was injured. And then she she continued on going to the Ganga. She went into the Ganga and she bathed. And after she bathed, or as she was bathing, her nose ring, which is worn by married women, it fell into the Ganga and she lost it. And she looked for it frantically, and she couldn't find it. So she went back to the home of Shachimata, and she told her of all these things. Or she was crying, and she told her of all these things. She said, "I don't know what's happening. All these inauspicious, things are manifesting. I lost my nose ring. I stubbed my toe. I was bleeding everywhere as I was going to the Ganga." And there, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was taking sannyas, or thought of taking sannyas, he only informed his very close associates. But somehow or other, Shachimata found out, and then she informed Vishnupriya Devi about this rumor that was going around. And it was just devastating to her, because one thing is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was her life, and she's a pure devotee. She's the Bhu Shakti, which by the way, Bhu Shakti is the Sandani Shakti of the Lord. Sandani means existence, basically, and so it's the Shakti which manifests the objects in the spiritual world, like Krishna's seats and Krishna's paraphernalia. Also, it's described that his mother and father are the Sandani Shakti. So, and the Shuddha Sattva is the essential part of it. So it's basically the foundational energy of the spiritual world. So she was the Bhu Shakti of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So of Krishna. So she was, Krishna was her life and soul. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was her life and soul, and she was a pure devotee. And she felt like she didn't have enough time. And externally, she was, appearing as a young girl, just married. She was in love with her husband. And so this was just devastating to her. And so one night, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, kind of, out of the norm of his usual disposition toward her, he was speaking very sweet words with her, and he was lying there in bed with her, and he was feeding her, betel nuts, putting betel nuts in her mouth, and just being very loving and very close to her. And but Vishnupriya Devi, she was a little bit distant. She was a little bit, she couldn't get into it, so to speak. And so at one point, she just starts crying. She was massaging his feet, and she just starts crying. And he asks her, he says, "Why are you crying? What's wrong?" And she says, "Please, just tell me if this is true or not. I've heard that you're thinking of going to take sannyas." And he said, and he replied, like it's described in this narration here, that "you're dear to me as life itself. There's no need to worry. You're Vishnupriya Devi. Your name is Vishnupriya. So therefore, fulfill the real meaning of Vishnupriya and always think of Krishna within your heart." And then he displayed his four-armed form to make her let her understand that he is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then that night, he left. Without saying anything. And she woke up and he wasn't there. And I think it was in a dream, if my memory is correct, it was in a dream that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed her to carve a deity, or to have a deity carved out of this tree, which was at the Yogpit, or Sachimata's home, where Shachimata used to, breastfeed baby Nimai. So she did, and this is Dameshwar Mahaprabhu. So she underwent this very rigid sadhana. She would chant around, and then she would put 1 grain of rice aside. And then at the end of the day, she would offer that rice to Dameshwar Mahaprabhu, and then she would take that as prasad. And that's all she would eat. And she would actually only sleep 3 hours every night. So she was very, very austere. And, another thing is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, before he left, he gifted her a pair of his padukas, shoes, which are still there in the Dameshwar Mahaprabhu temple. So just for fun, again, here is Dameshwar Mahaprabhu. And you can see just to the right are his padukas, his feet. And actually, if you're there, if you give a donation to the pujari, you can, he'll put the shoes on your head. So, yeah, they're still there. Oh, and also something about Dameshwar Mahaprabhu. He's like the most merciful incarnation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or the most merciful form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's going like this, so he's distributing his mercy, and he's got this big, beautiful, these wide eyes and this big smile. And he's going like this, just distributing mercy to the conditioned souls. And if you look at him from the side, there's a little door that goes into the altar. Sometimes it's open. And so if you go to the side, you can see actually that he's leaning forward. He's like extending his, he's leaning forward and extending mercy to the conditioned soul. So he's extremely merciful form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Very famous deity. So now, it's getting late already. Wow. Okay, so now Vasant Panchami, briefly. Vasant Panchami is the first day of spring in India. And there's many pastimes in Vrindavan which occur on this, on this day. Mainly, Gaudiya Vaishnavas observe it usually by dressing Krishna in yellow, specifically, and with lots of flowers, specifically yellow flowers, and also green too. And that's a little bit about Vasant Panchami. And Saraswati Puja is not so much a Vaishnav holiday. It's celebrated in Bengal, other places too, but Bengal, in which the goddess of learning, Saraswati, is worshipped. But yeah, Vaishnavas don't really celebrate Saraswati Puja so much. So that is all of those holidays. We have, maybe we should just end. And yeah, she's the goddess of learning. So does he? Yeah, I can pull. Yeah, I'll look it up. Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions? Maybe online or something?
Okay.
Legion Money Boo has a question.
The question about Devi Priya Mataji, is anything known about the future life after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left, and how?
Yeah, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left, Shati Mata and Vishnupriya Devi were cared for by Ishan, which was Shati Mata's personal servant, and Vamsivadana Thakur. And so, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left, she was engaging in those austerities, like I said, chanting around the rice. She was engaged in those austerities. And she hardly ever left the house, except to bathe in the Ganga. And after she left, Vishnupriya Devi, Vamsivadana Thakur moved that deity from Shachimata's home to Koladweep, which is an island of Navadvip, that's where it is now. That's where the temple is. So that's all there really is. Yeah, she was just engaged in austerities after he left. Prakash Prabhu.
How big are the deities? Dameshwar.
Dameshwar Mahaprabhu was a good size. I mean, he's bigger than Radha Giridhari. Maybe like this, right? Dameshwar Mahaprabhu. Yeah, he's a good size. No, like 4 or 5 feet. Yeah, he's pretty big.
All you have to do is just go to Mayapur and then you take a boat across, and you're there in Navadvip and you can go see.
Yeah. Yeah, the Pujari gave us a bunch of garlands when we were there. We got like 2 or 3 garlands from Dameshwar Mahaprabhu when we were there. It's nice. And yeah, also he put the padukas on our head, but I don't think, because we were brahmacharis, I think he just gave it for free. Right?
Well, I already donated.
Oh, okay, we did donate, yeah. Yeah. Okay. You just give something. You just give something. You put it on the padukas, and then he puts the padukas on your head. Yeah.
Well, I think I also gave him a lot of money.
Oh, really?
I mean, I haven't given him a lot of money.
Oh, okay. I didn't remember that part.
And I asked him for the garlic.
Oh, you asked for something. Okay. I didn't remember that part either.
Because Lila really wanted a garlic from Dami.
I did.
Last one in the back, I asked him for something, like, give a big donation.
Oh, okay.
No, that point about Dameshwar Mahaprabhu being forward, being because particularly merciful, where did you just get that from? Where did you, is that written?
Well, I don't know if that's written somewhere. I've heard that.
I've heard it from Braja Mohan, but I've only ever heard it from him. That's why I'm wondering if you've heard it.
I've heard it from other devotees too. But exactly where it's written. I'm not sure if it's written anywhere. Yeah.
But you've heard it from other devotees other than Braja Mohan?
Yeah. I've heard it, yeah. Exactly who I don't remember, but I've heard it. It wasn't the first time I heard it. Yeah. Anything else?
This Saraswati.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, you were looking for that. There also is, at least on the...
Is that thing on?
No, it's not. On, at least on the Vaishnava calendar, when Saraswati Puja comes up, when you click on all the events, it mentions something from the Srila Prabhupada wrote or so on. For Saraswati Puja, it just mentions there's the verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's one that Srila Prabhupada translates as, long live Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Kaishora age. Both the goddess of fortune and the goddess of learning worship him. The goddess of learning Saraswati worshipped him in his victory over the scholar who had conquered all the world, and whose goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi, worshipped him at home.
Yeah. So there's this Digvijayi, Keshava Kashmiri, who was he was a very great scholar, and the reason his name was Digvijayi is because wherever he went, he would conquer people in debate. So this was his business. He would do that, and so he heard that Nimai Pandit was a very great pundit. He was a great scholar of grammar, Sanskrit grammar, and so he went there to go, conquer over him. And so it's described. How many was it? 100 verses about the Ganga. Yeah, it was like he composed in some time, in a very short amount of time, 100 verses glorifying Ganga Devi. And then his challenge to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was find some fault, in these verses. And he was thinking there is no fault in these verses, so therefore I'm going to win the debate. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in front of all of his students, he did find fault. Not only he memorized, as Keshava Kashmiri was speaking these verses, he memorized them and he took note of these different faults. It describes them in the Chaitanya Charitamrita in more detail. But there are certain grammatical faults. And so basically he just smashed the Digvijayee, and who was a devotee of, oh yeah, that's a relevant detail. He was a devotee of Saraswati. He would worship Saraswati in order to get his Shakti, to get his power of debate. And so then after he was defeated, he prayed, he worshipped Saraswati, and he said, well, hey, what gives? I thought I was supposed to win, I thought you were supposed to, give me some power. And she said, I have no, this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead you're debating with. I have no power here. He's the Supreme Lord. And so then he went back there and he surrendered to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And actually, Keshava Kashmiri, he became a pure devotee in the Vallabha Sampradaya. Yeah. So that's something about Saraswati, how she was involved in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Lila. And then, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says that she worshipped him after this pastime. So.
Does Prabhupada say anything?
No, I didn't say anything.
Prabhupada didn't mention anything. It's interesting, he says one should offer respects to the goddess of fortune, Saraswati, before saying Srimati. It's interesting. It's not always used to that. Something said.
Anything on Zoom? I guess Barbara has some.
What would we say? Because if it says Devyam Saraswatim Vyasam, right? It says, every time Dravida Prabhu gives a class, for example, maybe he's listening. But it's a very common practice that devotees do, and it's in the Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
You should offer your respects to Vyasadeva. You should offer respects to, who is it? Narayan. You should offer respects to Saraswati, the goddess of learning. So then it's like, well, someone may say, why do that? Why do we offer respects to the goddess of learning, Saraswati? What's the point? What's the value? Can't we just depend on our spiritual master, just offer respects to him, and in this way the knowledge will come? Why this? And it's a question, I'm not trying to say stump the Swami question or something, but it's just, maybe we could discuss that. Does anybody have any?
I guess I was thinking, because she's the goddess of learning, she's in charge of the, Krishna, what would you say, empowers her, or Krishna puts her in the position of being in charge of the faculty of learning. So if one wants to learn something, then they can offer, of course this is transcendental knowledge, but practically anything. Saraswati Devi, she, if Saraswati doesn't, she's in charge of the faculty of learning, so you offer respects to her so that she can be pleased, and then she can, with the power that she's, been given by Krishna, then she can help one, because she's a pure devotee. So you can offer respects to Narayan Rishi, you can offer respects to the spiritual master, Vyasadeva. All of them are involved in the, and then of course Krishna, and then all of them are involved in the Bhagavatam and in the learning of the Bhagavatam and the learning of Shastra, so we offer respects to them. That's my thought. But I'm sure there's something I'm missing as well.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I wanted to say that, for a while I was meditating on Saraswati, and praying to Saraswati for a particular situation, but I find it relevant just in every day. But basically for, the eloquence to speak on things we've learned, or to say things very nicely, and learned, like what you do. So that's another thing that's helpful too. offer our obeisances to.
Yeah, there's a verse in Sridhar Swami's commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam. Who was that, by the way? Sorry. Speaking over Zoom.
Hare Krishna. This is Vanessa.
Oh, Vanessa. Okay. There's one verse in Sridhar Swami's commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam. Vagisha yasya vadane lakshmi yasya javakshasi yasyaste hridaye sambit tam nrsimhamaham bhaje. He's offering. He's offering obeisances to Nrsimhadev, which is his worshipable deity, and he's describing how he's the lord of the goddess of speaking, Vag Isha. So, yeah, Saraswati. So, I thought it sounds right. Sounds right.
Are there any other questions or comments on Zoom? Any
Yeah,
other
Brahma.
questions or comments on Zoom?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah, you have Saraswati, so it's with Brahma, right? So you also have who's.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Please go ahead, Vijay Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Amogha Prabhu, thank you very much. You're very kind. Dandavat Pranams Prabhu. My question is related to yesterday's class given by Balaram Prabhu. May I?
You may.
Yes, because Balaram Prabhu spoke about dissension and disharmony and quarreling inside the institutions. It doesn't matter which Christians, Muslims, Hare Krishna, it doesn't matter. But, and based on this, in order for me to present my question, I just need to say it briefly in order to put it in context. I often hear that without association with devotees, it's not possible to become a pure devotee.
Correct.
Or something of the sort. But still, the risk for me to quarrel with devotees inside the institution exists. So based on all of this, the burning question is, why can't I make spiritual advancement on my own related to dismissing the association with devotees with whom I would be there quarreling sooner or later, it may happen, and do it on my own. That is the question. Why can't I do it on my own in order to become a pure devotee when it is well known that the risk for me to become in disharmony and in quarreling with the members of the institution, which is helping me to make me spiritual advancement, is something there. It exists. So what is the harm of doing it on my own?
Well, both are there. Yeah, in the association of devotees, sometimes there's quarrel. Sometimes there's disagreements.
Differences of opinion. And
differences of opinion, etc. Yeah, even amongst pure devotees, actually, there's differences of opinion. So this is just a product of being in the material world. Quarrel and all these different things. But it shouldn't discourage us from being in the association of devotees, because by being in the association of devotees, we can also get nourishment by discussing Shastra, by discussing Krishna's pastimes, by discussing the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. So this is the proper way to associate with devotees. Now, sometimes naturally there might be things disagreements and things like that. But the main thing should be that we should make an effort to associate with devotees by discussing topics of Krishna consciousness, by relishing hearing and chanting about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And not that we should avoid controversial subjects, or we should avoid discussions about certain controversial topics, because these things are good. Krishnadas Kaviraj says that they strengthen the mind. But it shouldn't be it shouldn't be our bread and butter, so to speak. The main thing should be just relishing Krishna Katha together. And seeing each other's good qualities, and being enlivened by seeing each other's good qualities and encouraging each other. So that's real association. And when one associates with devotees, yes, sometimes there's quarrel, but most of the time it's helpful, very helpful. And so there's a saying in the material world that you have to take the good with the bad. So the advantages of associating with devotees far outweigh the disadvantages of maybe sometimes disagreeing or getting into arguments or this thing or that thing. Because Krishna says that he is present wherever his devotees are glorifying him. And so we should understand that by associating with the devotees of Krishna who are constantly glorifying him with mind, body, and words, that will be in the association of Krishna as well. So that's something on that. Is that an okay answer?
Yes, Prabhu, just a quick thought.
Uh-huh.
It just came to my mind that if a devotee decides to go for doing it on his own, I think that he does it because of being not different from someone. I think it's the same as cowardice.
Yeah,
I
that
think
could be there.
that if a devotee gets out of the institution and gets out of the association with devotees because the good and the bad are present, I think that he's not strong enough to deal with it. So instead of taking advantage of the opportunity for becoming stronger, he leaves the association of devotees. I think that mostly out because of cowardice
In Chaitanya
and fearfulness.
Yeah, in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching, Srila Rupa Goswami, he speaks about the Bhakti Lata and the creeper of devotional service. And he also mentions these upashakas, which are weeds which grow around the Bhakti Lata, which if you improperly water it, then these weeds grow and they stunt the growth of the Bhakti Lata. So one of the upashakas, or one of the unwanted growths which grows around the Bhakti Lata, is it's called Kutinati. And Kutinati is elaborated upon by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in an article he wrote for his Sajjana Toshini magazine. And in that article, he describes how Kutinati is basically, it manifests in different ways, but the example that he gives is like you have like a village woman, and she goes and she bathes in a pond, in the pond where everybody goes to bathe after they pass. And then she goes and she bathes in the pond, and then she gets out of the pond, she goes home, and she's just the whole day, she's just talking how dirty the pond is, how this person said that, how just always like obsessed with gossip, always obsessed with seeing bad things. It's also described as like an obsession with purity. So like, oh, don't touch me, you're dirty, or sorry, I can't do this because it's dirty, or this thing and that. It's just always seeing, always being like negative and like pessimistic, and gossipy, and evaluating. This is good. Kutinati literally means this is good, this is bad. So it's always like evaluating, this is good, this is bad, casting judgment. And Kuti Nati often results in Vaishnava Parad, and Vaishnava Parad often results in leaving the association of devotees, or basically being kicked out of the association of devotees by Krishna. So a lot of times those who, anyway, yeah. That's something relevant.
When you are pointing the finger to someone, I heard that the other fingers are pointing to yourself.
Yeah, Mahatma Gandhi said that.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Srila Visvanatha Cakravarti Thakura ki jai, Srimati Vishnupriya Devi ki jai, Vasant Panchami ki jai, Saraswati Puja ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.